Yemi Alade with Johnny playing for you on 88.2 Sanyu FM. My name is Crystal. It's the hit selector right now, brought to you by Fanta. And I have a very, very special guest joining me right now on Celeb Select. Please welcome with me Mr. Peter Sematimba. Welcome to the hit selector and Celeb Select.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Such a pleasure. Such a pleasure. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. I'm blessed. I'm glad to be here. Glad to be somewhere where I can finally talk a bit about myself, some truth about myself.
Exactly.
And it's good to be on this side of the microphone. I'm usually on that side when I'm in a studio. So this is kind of fun, kind of different too.
It's different, and I like that you said you get to talk about yourself, because unfortunately most people read about you in the papers and the tabloids, all kinds of stories, but we don't get to hear your side of the story.
Right, and part of it is on purpose. Because sometimes when these tabloids put out crazy stuff, what they're doing is trying to attract you to respond and then make the whole thing worse. So it's we find it more efficient to sometimes just keep quiet till they bore themselves to death and then move on to someone else or something else.
Essentially be the bigger person.
There you go.
Okay, so just tell me about growing up. Where did you grow up?
I was born in Mulago Hospital, grew up in Chibuye, Makindye, and my parents, we still have that house where I grew up in. And went to school.
Do your parents still live there?
Yeah, my mom decided to go to heaven, so she's having a heck of an eternity with Christ right now.
I love that.
And I'm looking forward to joining her, although I'm not in a hurry. I plan to go to heaven in about 85 years from now, so she can have the fun till then. But my dad is around, and he's having fun. Got remarried recently, and I discovered that men need their women around, because the minute he got remarried, jeez. Lost about 25 years.
Really?
I'm telling you, it's amazing.
You hear that the statistics for men who lose their wives, they don't actually live very long, unlike the other way around.
Very true. If a man loses his wife and doesn't get remarried, chances are in about 4 to 6 years, they'll usually die.
Okay.
In his case, it looks like he got a lease for another 40 years, he says. But anyways, I grew up in Makindye. Went to Auntie Claire's kindergarten. From there, went to Kitanti Primary School. Actually went in the very first P1 of the very first day that Kitanti Primary School was opened.
What?
Yeah, and that was in 2005.
Well, we don't have to be specific on the dates, but that's a milestone.
Yeah, but then from there I transferred to Norman Godino, which is now known as Buganda Road Primary School. Got my P7 from there and moved over at King's College Budo. Went to Budo till S5. Did my S4, of course, passed it. Went back for S5, did PCB. And then in my first term, I got a chance to sit college entry exams. I passed them. At the age of 17, I moved over to the States, went to Azusa Pacific University.
Okay, because I was reading about you early on and said after 16, you left school in Uganda. So there was a bit of a gap there. So you went to the States?
Yes, I did.
Uh-huh.
I got a chance to sit some SATs for Azusa Pacific College, which is now university. Passed them and went there and did pre-medicine.
Okay.
And unfortunately, in the third year, I ran out of school fees. And actually didn't go to school for another almost 6 years, struggling, making things work, working in restaurants and washing cars and doing whatever it is I needed to do.
Surviving.
In 87, I joined a school called Pacific Coast Technical Institute and added my units to, moved along with my units and then did what we called then electronic and computer technology. I think you guys call it ICT today. And got my diploma in that and then went about starting businesses and making things happen for myself.
Now, speaking of businesses, I mean, how did you just jump in the beginning? Because it's a scary thing for most people when you want to go into business.
I think first and foremost, it's in the genes. My grandfather on my mother's side was a millionaire in dollars in the 50s.
Oh.
And he made his millions in Burundi. He went there as an evangelist, preaching at the age of 19. Make the long story short, he started a transport company with his bicycle. It did well, got a motorcycle. It did well, got a pickup. It did well, got a trailer. It did well, eventually had a bunch of trailers and shopping malls and whatever. And so that's my maternal grandfather. So I think it's in the genes. My mother was an entrepreneur. And then my experience in the States, when I was kicked out of school because of a lack of school fees, obviously I needed to survive somehow. I didn't have a job. I couldn't get a job. I didn't have the vitambulismo, so to speak.
Did you have family there?
No, I didn't.
Wow.
No, I didn't. And so I learned to survive using probably those traits that I was born with, and started all kind of things. Eventually,
What was your very first business?
my very first business actually was here in Uganda, and it was very successful. When I finished senior four, we had this long vacation. We call it long vac. I don't know if you guys still call it that. So during the long vac, I wanted to make some money, and I noticed that there were no snacks around Chibuye Makindye area except kabalagala and ebindazi, whichever one and their mother were selling. But I also noticed we had a farm in Bulemezi, and I still have coffee over there. And I noticed that in Bulemezi there was a surplus of maize. People didn't know what to do with their maize. They were literally giving it away. So I got this brilliant idea to bring a new snack to town, which was boiled maize. And so I convinced a couple of my uncles to lend me a little bit of money. I convinced the driver of my dad's driver to take me to Bulemezi. I bought the maize real cheap, brought it back to Makindye, convinced the lady that who raised us and used to cook for us to help me cook the maize so that I could sell it. And so I created 3 flavors. In one pot, we put maize with hot water and salt. So we had your regular kasori omufumbi. In the other one, I put in muzigo muganda and salt, and I had kasori with muzigo muganda. And then in the third one, we put in piri piri and salt, and I had, red hot maize.
Wow.
And then I got these little kids all over the neighborhood who want to do something, and I got them to become part of my sales team. Now, I discovered they didn't have much appreciation for money, but I did discover that they loved kabalagala. So I bought a lot of kabalagala, stacked it, put it in these tall stacks. And I told these kids, okay, listen, for every chibo that you sell, I'm giving you a stack of kabalagala. The kids were like, great, great. And to make the long story short, in that long vac, I made enough money from this maize business that I actually sponsored myself my very first trip to Kenya, to Nairobi, on an airplane. I bought my first ticket. I made enough money to buy my own ticket to Nairobi and did some shopping.
I believe you. I think
and
it's
so
definitely
I started
in the
from
genes.
there. Yeah, started from there. I was 16 years old then when I did that.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask you for your very first request right now. You asked for a Perfect Generation song, and there's a story behind the song.
Right.
Do share.
Well, when I came back to Uganda, one of the things that I noticed was that Ugandans were not proud of who we were as far as the music, culture, and entertainment were concerned. In fact, when I came back, the only Ugandan music that people listened to was the Afrigo Band, generally speaking. Afrigo Band and some Kadongo Kamugais. And no one was playing Ugandan music on any of the radio stations, not Sanyu FM and not Capital FM, which were the first 2 radio stations here. So I decided to do something about it and create Ugandan music that was hot, sellable, attractive, fun, but relevant to our people.
Okay.
And so I came up with this idea of getting raga beats and then create lyrics. Raga beats, get a melody which was catchy and modern, comparable to Western melodies, but then lace it with Ugandan stories. In fact, Steve Jean and I played all the instruments in that song. The late Bob Bashabe and I did all the vocals. The background vocals. Simon Bass Kalama did the lead vocal, and Shanks VVD did the rap.
Wow.
And we created a new sound for Uganda, and it eventually became the East African sound. But more than that, with that, we started making the youth of Uganda create or find a sound which was their sound, relevant, but a lot of fun. And to make the long story short, today, our local artists are more famous in this country than foreign artists because of that move. And I'm very proud of it.
So a turning point in Ugandan music.
Yes.
Well, here it is from Perfect Generation, Kakokolo. You were talking about how you left Uganda, you went to the States for a couple of years, and
Right.
then you came back to Uganda.
Mhm.
What year was that exactly?
Came back in 93,
In 93.
3 days before Sabasajja regained the crown as the king of Uganda. And I remember spent that night at King's College, Budo. And being a Budonian, that was one of the most awesome nights of my life. That was really different. After being out in the States for 12 years or so and coming back and spending the night with my fellow Ugandans, partying the African way, which I hadn't seen or experienced ever.
What does that
it was
mean?
quite something.
What does that mean, partying the African way?
Well, the way we partied in Nagalabi that night was just like nothing I'd ever seen. First and foremost, we didn't have, equipment like this one. It was engomenganda everywhere. Engomenganda everywhere. Omwengo Muganda everywhere. Lots of food, and people were generous with everything. People were generous with their food, with their drinks, and their bodies. That was different.
So, okay,
Someone
you
would just
added
get
on the
excited.
bodies bit. I was like, oh, it was like one big happy family.
It was one big happy. I don't know. Families don't share bodies, so
That
I think it
sounds
was one big,
celebration.
big happy celebration.
Okay.
I'm sure 9 months later, lots of kids were born, but it was something else. It was just so different. It really was different. This party just went on non-stop for the whole night. I mean, non-stop. It was
Okay.
amazing.
Okay. Well, you talked about how you were a game changer in terms of where Ugandan music, the direction it started to take.
right.
And then you just mentioned something about Valentine's Day. Now, Valentine's Day is a big deal now. People
It
go
is.
out, the roses,
It
they wear
is.
the red, they go for
It is.
dinner. What did you have to do with Valentine's Day becoming a thing in Uganda?
I'm very proud to admit that I'm guilty. That I'm the guy who brought Valentine's Day to Uganda. And really for me, the idea behind it, honestly speaking, was business. I had just started CBS FM, and usually the first 2 months of the year, first quarter of the year is usually very bad for business. And I needed to do something. I needed a promotion that would create a lot of business. So as I thought about it, I realized that if I packaged it properly, I would not only create money for my radio station that I was managing those days, but I could actually create money for a lot of other people and also create a culture that's going to be so much fun. And so sat down with my production team and everyone and sales team. We came up with this funny thing and started making noise about it. Started making noise about the fact that, hey, February 14th, show your girlfriend that you love her. Show your man that you love him. Show your wife that you love her.
A lot of
It's
people
Lover's
say
Day.
that's not part of the African culture. Did people pick up on it easily?
Well, a lot of things are not part of the African culture. The pants you're putting on are not African. The suit I'm putting on is not African. The language we're speaking is not African. I think it's people that are handicapped mentally that tend to use that as an excuse to not move forward. The world is dynamic. It's constantly moving forward, and it's only the dead who do not develop or bring on new attributes to define their lives and their abilities. So anyways, yes, it caught on. It caught on because I'll tell you one thing about, in particular, Baganda, because CBS FM is a Luganda station and
yes.
90% Luganda. Baganda are they don't want to talk openly about sex and romance.
Yes.
But Baganda are a very sexual people. That's why they get an innuendo out of everything. Ogambiki, chokabanange. And so we gave them literally license that day to be a bit more open about that which they usually keep as a secret. That listen, show her that you love her. Let the world know that this is your girl. Let the world know that's your guy. And we even gave them things to do. For example, you got to put on red and black. Guys, you got to buy her flowers. And to this day, by the way, more flowers are sold on Valentine's Day in Uganda than any other day. You got to take her out for dinner. Buy her a gift. Ladies, you got to look good. Put on, fix your nails, fix your hair, fix your skin that day. Smell good. Guys, buy perfume that one day. Make the long story short, it caught on for several reasons. Number one, obviously lovers enjoyed having license to express love openly in a town which was all celebrating love. And so it was fun because people loved it. But number two, the business world enjoyed it. Because now the flower guys realized, oh my God, I'm going to sell lots of flowers. The restaurants made a lot of money and still make a lot of money because everyone goes for dinner or whatever. The Boda guys, they make money transporting lovers from here to there and whatever. Taxi guys, special hires, everyone makes money. The guys selling clothes, the people doing the Q-Tex, the barbers cutting the hair. Everyone was making money And so it became a day that everyone supported. And I understand that statistically, Valentine's Day today is the fourth biggest day in as far as Uganda's earnings per day are concerned in this country per
Wow.
year. Yeah.
Okay.
So more money, more business is transacted on that day than almost every other day except for 3 days from the statistics that I have. So I'm very proud I brought it to
You were
Uganda.
part of that.
And except I'll tell you this, because I was not yet a pastor those days, and kind of like, there's
You were a healthy young man.
a healthy young celebrity on top of that, it ended up being a crazy day for me. I could never enjoy Valentine's Day in a restaurant or anything because I had very many girlfriends. And so
You were juggling.
if I went with one and the other 5 found out that what?
I'm
I was
sorry,
in
did
trouble.
you say the other 5?
And I've cut the number.
Peter.
I have cut the number. Peter then.
I know.
Then. So I'd have to tell everyone a story like, oh, I'm going to the States next week and I'm not going to be around and blah, blah, blah. Oh, my God, I'm going to miss you. Oh, my God, Peter. And then you select, whoever. And,
And you have a
have
quiet date
I have
somewhere.
Valentine's at home.
Okay.
Yeah, so
well,
be-
you mentioned, the importance of looking good, smelling good, and you are definitely known for looking good, taking care of yourself, not aging as far as I can tell.
Oh, I'm glad you noticed that. I especially like that last compliment. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I'm very
So-
sensitive about getting old.
Okay, so a lot of
And-
people have, always asked you, okay, what do you do? Because there's that famous picture of you when you were applying like powder, I think a MAC powder. So a lot of people, ask, okay, what's your regimen,
Well,
should I say? What do you
Okay.
believe in?
First and foremost, what do I believe in? First and foremost, I think people need to look as good as they can. And I think the way you take care of yourself personally is a reflection of how sophisticated your mind is about taking care of yourself. I believe in my skin being absolutely moisturized, and I moisturize my skin several times a day.
Okay.
Every time I go to a washroom or something in a place that's clean enough, I'll wash my face, I'll wash my hands, and I'll moisturize my face. And that's why my skin is beautiful and supple and nice.
Okay.
I cut my hair twice a week at the very least. I don't like, overgrowth or whatever. I work out every day.
Okay, I will now ask you for your next request, a Michael Jackson song, Billie Jean.
Yes.
Why this particular song?
Once upon a time when I was in the States, at some point, I made enough money to start pursuing my dreams. And I was convinced that I was going to be the next Michael Jackson. As a matter of fact, I even had my Grammy Award speech ready. Honestly, I did. So this song, Billie Jean, as a performer, I think its video was the first major hit video, and Michael did these moves in that video that just killed everyone in those days. But the mixing was also awesome. I mean, Quincy Jones, the way they mixed that song, it was just awesome. I just fell in love with that song, and every time I heard that song, I just saw myself receiving my Grammy Award. I would practice on it, I would dance on it. I knew every move that Michael did on that thing, and so when I did my live shows, I would do stuff, and people thought I was his brother or something. It's just an awesome song. It just inspired me a lot, and still does inspire me, and puts a smile on my face and my heart.
Here it is, Billie Jean, Michael Jackson. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's just talk a little bit about family.
Well, my now most immediate family is as follows. I'm married to a wonderful lady. Her name's Juliet Muyingo Sematimba. And we started dating when we were 19 years old. So
19?
yes.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. So my wife and I have known each other for probably longer than you might have lived.
I'm not sure about that.
So we've known each other for a very long time. We've been married 17 years. So for about 16 years, it was, boyfriend, girlfriend, and then eventually I popped the question. She said yes, and we've been married 17 years. So we've known each other for 33 years. No, actually, we've been married for 19 years because Tendo just turned 19. Our daughter, our oldest daughter, is second year
How many
university.
children do you have?
I have three girls,
Three girls.
three girls, and Tendo's the oldest. She's 19 this year. Sui's the second oldest. She's 14. She's so proud to be a teenager. And then Sanyu's the youngest, and she's 9 years old.
Oh, your baby.
Yeah,
your
she's.
baby.
They're all my babies, really.
How do you handle raising daughters? Is it challenging for you?
No, because naturally I like women. Naturally, I love to spoil women, so I guess that's why I got daughters. So spoiling them is fun. Taking care of them is fun. Okay, let me put it this way. I think the best way that you can help your child, boy or girl, is to be able to be there when they need advice. Beating them up and saying, don't do this or I'll whoop your butt again. Don't do this, I'm going to slap you silly. That doesn't work because at the end of the day, what they need is advice, the right advice at the proper time to navigate life. And so I made it easy for them to understand that they could talk about relationships with me from day one. And hopefully, therefore, they'll be comfortable to share their thoughts, issues, situations with me, and hopefully I can give them the help they'll need. And so we've been open about this from day one.
Okay.
And we're keeping it that way.
All right. And you mentioned back in the day before you became a pastor, you had quite the reputation. Was there a turning point in your life for you to decide to, turn your life over to God, to take that path?
Well, yes, I went through a death experience. And in that death experience, let's call it a death experience.
What do you mean a death experience?
All right, this is what happened. I was lying on my bed. I had a couple of friends come over and, playing cards and whatever. And then out of the blue, I just lost all my energy. I could see them, but I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. I could not move. I could not breathe. I couldn't do anything. But I'm looking at them. So I'm trying to call out to them, hey, guys, someone slapped me or pulled me up. I couldn't say a word.
Did they notice that something was wrong with you?
They thought I was just chilling. So they just kept playing cards. They thought I was just chilling. Now, this got worse. So next thing I know is suddenly I start seeing things like lightning or whatever, and eventually I can't see my friends anymore because now I'm engulfed in this storm of lightning and chaos and noise and this and that, whatever. And then things started squeezing me from the inside out and then from the outside in. It was just extremely, excruciatingly painful.
And terrifying.
Terrifying. I was so scared, but I was totally helpless. I mean, I couldn't do anything. So make the long story short, that day, I discovered a couple of things. One, there is a God. Two, death is for real. Three, when I called on the name of Jesus, something happened, and it was good. So I may as well become pretty close to him. And so based on that, I made my decision to give my life to Christ. And so I'll conclude this way. I'm not religious.
You're not religious?
But I have a personal relationship with God through Jesus. And I'm very proud of it.
Well, let's just talk politics. You're deciding to get into politics.
I want to be one of those people who are going to really play a role in making Uganda and Africa better places to live in.
Make a difference. Now that's 10 years, more than 10 years now you've been in politics. And
Right.
recently you went through a really rocky phase where your academic qualifications were being questioned. And at the time, of course, we heard that you were stripped of your seat.
Right.
How have you handled that time? Especially in the public eye. You're really in the public eye.
As far as first let's talk about the facts, and then we'll talk about how I've handled it. Therefore, in politics, when a constituency is contested, everything is thrown at you. I mean, people throw the bathroom sink at you, and they'll throw their mother and their hunting dog and everything at you. They'll come up with every story. So one of the experiences I've gone through running for these various positions, you remember I was the mayor of Rubaga for some time. But ever since I got into this politics, because of my capacities, everyone that I race against tries to play down my capacities. Because when I run for these campaigns, I talk about my ability to cause change, my abilities to cause positive change, and my proven track record in that regard, and which is usually better than everyone that I'm running against. And so they fight back by abusing me and trying to make me look bad. They've labeled me as being gay. They've labeled me as being stupid, uneducated, and so on and so forth. So In this particular case, I beat the guy who put in the petition. I beat him by 5,032 votes, which is
That's a
phenomenal.
lot.
That's phenomenal. And so he decided he wanted to get there anyway. He wanted to become a member of parliament somehow. And so he petitioned and claimed that I didn't go to school. Well, we argued our case, and I don't want to get into reasons why it came out the way that it did. But bottom line is this. It's true that the print media, actually the media said that I was thrown out of parliament because I, quote unquote, did not go to school or I don't have the papers.
Yes.
But if anyone took the time to read the ruling, the things that the petitioner said was, number one, I didn't have academic qualifications. Number two, that I rigged the elections. I stole votes. And number three, I bribed people. Well, the ruling made it very clear that there was no evidence of me bribing. So that was thrown out. Number two, there's no evidence of me performing electoral malpractices.
Yes.
That was thrown out.
Yes.
Number three, the judge could not pronounce herself to the fact that I was not educated. So she put that aside. The judge could not pronounce either that my papers were fake. And she didn't say anything about that. But there was
Sadly, that's how it was interpreted.
yeah. But she said, however, she felt that the National Council of Higher Education could have done more due diligence. And because she was not satisfied with the due diligence they did, which, by the way, they did, but we'll talk about that in the Court of Appeal, which is where we are. She therefore said, I will cancel the certificate of equivalency you gave him because I'm not satisfied you did enough due diligence. And therefore, technically, when my certificate of equivalency was cancelled, it means my nomination was cancelled, which then meant that the election was cancelled, which then meant that my victory was cancelled.
Okay.
And that's what the courts said. They did not say that he's not educated and we've thrown him out because he's not educated. As a matter of fact, the judge went on to say that therefore the National Council of Higher Education will pay the costs of the case and the elections be done again. And in doing them again, because I qualify, she did not say Sematimba should not be part of the elections.
Okay.
But, a lot of ignorant people love to say a lot of things, and we have a lot of haters out there. And I'm not saying this badly, but one of the things that we've got to fight in Uganda is a lot of people who are not where they want to be in life tend to hate on those who are moving forward.
True, they thrive on negativity.
Yes, and given any opportunity, they'll try to drag those people down. So a lot of the people that have been talking about me in the media and social media are, I think, frustrated people who vent out their frustrations by trying to pull down anyone who's moving forward. But I'm actually here to serve everyone. I want to serve this nation. So they shouldn't hate on me. They should support me. And I am going to win this Court of Appeal case. I'm going to win this appeal. I'm going to win it, and I'm going to remain the member of parliament. By the way, I am still.
You are still.
Yes, because the law says that when a ruling comes out against you and you do not agree with it, for as long as you file in a notice to appeal, and indeed put in your appeal in 14 days, your position will not be degazetted and you will remain member of parliament.
I'm glad you've clarified that, because that was very confusing for a lot of people, because we still saw you in parliament right after. So a lot of people are like, okay.
Ignorance
Well, thank you so much for coming in. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time. I'll have to have you back again.
Already?
Yes.
It felt like 15 minutes.
I know. Thank you so much for coming in. And
let me say this to you.
Yes.
You're beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you for keeping yourself beautiful. I remember when you got into this business, and when we started this industry, we looked at this cute little one coming in to join the industry at Senyu FM, and hey, you've taken good care of yourself. Keep it up, and let people like yourself and myself show everyone the way that, hey, you can stay good looking for a heck of a long time.
Okay, I'm going to be floating on a cloud for the rest of the weekend. Thank you so much, Peter.
One more statement I want to say. Whoever's listening out there, I don't want you to forget that Jesus is Lord.
Amen. So your last song, your last request, we'll wrap up with that. Purple Rain from Prince. What is it about the song?
Prince was a genius. You listen to Prince's songs, he was a true genius. Prince played just about every instrument there is. And I loved the song Purple Rain because it was the first time I ever heard of a ballad in a rock sound.
Okay.
But more than that, I first heard it in the movie Purple Rain. So I heard it while I was watching him perform the song. And in that song, the way he played the guitar, I mean, Prince and the guitar became one. They became one. It was just magic. It was magic. And from that day, I really fell in love with guitars, and I started learning guitar and so on and so forth. But it was just a magical performance, especially the part where he plays the guitar solo. Oh, it's not to die for, but something pretty close.
So we'll share that with you right now. Again, thank you so much for coming on Celeb Select.
Thank you for having me.
An absolute pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.